So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like first to thank the organizers of the Kirkenes conference for giving me the opportunity to be here today. It is my first time in Kirkenes, and I am very curious to discover the city and the region which could play an important role in the future for the oil and gas industry. It is my first time in Kirkenes, but not my first time in the north. I have been in the north for about 20 times in the past 10 years. You may know that we have also an office in Harstad. I have been told that we were the first one to open willingly an office in Harstad about 30 years ago. We are a partner in Snøhvit, and we have been one of the pioneers for exploration in the Barents together with Statoil in the early 80s. Well, Total today is the result of the merger of 4 companies, Total, Elf, Petrofina, and Petrol Akipten, who have been active in Norway, so we have a very important portfolio. In fact, we are number 2 in Norway after Statoil. We are the first major in Norway in terms of production or in terms of investments. We invest about 15 billion NOK every year. And we have been here for 40 years, and we intend to be here in 40 years' time. We are a partner in more than 100 licenses. We operate 31 of them. We are the main partner in the Ekofisk field, Ekofisk area, with 40%. We are also the main partner of Statoil on Snøhvit. We were the operator of Frigg and of Endal, which have been dismantled. Frigg has been dismantled now, and we are currently developing Martin Linge, which is a field discovered more than 30 years ago. And this is a sign of the importance of the technology, because we didn't have the technology 30 years ago to develop Martin Linge. In the Arctic in general, we have been active all over the world for about 40 years. We started in Canada and then in Alaska. We drilled also in Greenland, West Greenland. And more recently, we have been moving to this part of the world. We drilled 4 wells in Svalbard between 1971 and 1974. We started exploration in the Barents in 1983. And as I've said, we are a partner in Snøhvit. We are also a partner of Gazprom in the Shtokman development studies. The Shtokman project now is delayed for cost reason. We are now also in the Yamal LNG project. We are the main partner of Novatek, and we are one of the shareholders of Novatek. In addition to that, we are active in Arctic Russia, in the Karyaga field, in the Timan-Pichora basin, and in the Termokastovoye field in western Siberia. Well, today we are in projects which all lie outside the pack ice. We are mainly in natural gas projects and in Snøhvit, in Barents exploration, in Yamal LNG, Termokastovoye, and Karyaga. And we have the same vision of the Arctic as the one my colleague of Statoil explained. In the Barents today, besides Snøhvit, we have 3 licenses. Norvarg, we made the discoveries 3 years ago. Unfortunately, when we made the appraisal, we were a little bit deceived because there is gas, but volumes are not as large as what we expected. We are in Varveris, and we are in West Skrugard, not far from Johan Castberg. Snøhvit, there have been a discussion about the second train or Barents Sea pipeline. For us, the question is still open. It will depend, of course, upon the discoveries in West Barents, or more particularly in East Barents. Of course, if there are big discoveries, there will be a pipeline. If there are small discoveries, there could be a second train. And we also participated to the Gasco studies for the infrastructure. Yamal LNG, it's an amazing project because Yamal is a very challenging place for developing an LNG project with ice and permafrost. And I must say that I'm amazed to see the progress which has been made. We sanctioned, Novatek and Total sanctioned the project in December, which means that we launched the project in December. There will be 3 LNG trains of 5.5 million tons per year, which means about 3 times the size of the Ammersfest or the Snøhvit LNG plant, 4 LNG storage tank, and of course ship loading facilities. The main field which will supply the Yamal LNG plant will be the South Tambay field. The market, well, you probably know that there is 3 different markets for LNG. One is or was the US. The US does not import anymore LNG because of the shale gas production, and the US will export LNG in the future. So the 2 markets are Europe and Asia. The prices are quite different. The price of gas in the US is $4 per million BTU, or the unit is not very important, but $4 per million BTU, when the market price in Europe is around $10 per million BTU, twice and a half more, and the market in Asia is about $14 per million BTU. So with LNG, you have a flexibility, and most of the LNG now goes to Asia. And you have maybe seen on the first slide the image of an LNG vessel. This vessel is one of our in our fleet. It is called the Arctic Lady. It is standing next to the Ammersfest LNG plant for loading, and you have in the back the Soraya Island. And this vessel is currently on its way to Asia. Who could have believed that, when we launched the Snøhvit project, when we launched the engineering project, the target market was the US. So, as I said, there is ice in Yamal, and we will transport the LNG with ice-breaking LNG tankers, the first of this category. There will be 12 LNG tankers, and these tankers will use the northern route during a few weeks or a few months, I would say, in the year, and for the winter season, and or for 9 months over the year, the LNG will go west to Europe, where it will be unloaded. There will be unloaded and reloaded on normal LNG cargo, and the main target is Asia. You know that contracts have been recently signed by Novatek with Chinese buyers, and we Total also have signed contracts with Asian buyers. So there is a lot of technology involved in these LNG tankers, which can be able, to go through an ice pack of 3 meters when it goes, away front, and an ice pack of 5 meters when moving astern. So technology, as we have said before, is the key to the future of the oil industry and the future of the oil and gas industry in the north. And there have been a lot of technological steps in the past years. I mentioned that Martin Linge, it took 30 years, to have the technology to develop it. But now, you know, I've shown to you, the LNG in Arctic, in severe Arctic. Well, this is not the case for Norway because we have free sea in Norway, but in some places we have to take care of the icebergs to have dynamic management, and of course there is a need for winterization, etc. And also what is very important for the region is subsea development. And I think you can be proud in Norway because subsea technology has been developed and tested in Norway, and it is applied now in all over the world. Well, in Arctic also, of course, you know, we have an environment which is more fragile in some places. We have to take care of that. We could have harsh weather operations. What is also very important, and what has been mentioned before, is that we believe that the local community should benefit from the activity, and I think that it's very important to contribute to help the traditional life, not only in Arctic, but all over the planet. The oil and gas companies cannot be offshore, you know, out of reality. Well, in Arctic you have large distances, you have some challenges about logistics, power supply, etc., and gas export solution, and of course, you know, this sensitive ecosystem require a zero harmful discharge policy to be applied. Well, so R&D is very important. Total, we have about 1,000 people involved in R&D in the world. The main base is in the south of France, but we have had a research center in Stavanger for 30 or 40 years, which has a very important role. The role of each research center has its specialties. The specialty of Stavanger is the research on environmental technology and on flow performance. And again, there is a leadership in Norway about the flow performance, water management, subsea technologies, and what we call subsurface technologies. And we have contracts with various universities here in Norway, the NTNU, the University of Bergen, University of Tromsø, the University of Stavanger, and we have people who are dispatched in the north and even in Svalbard, in New-Ålesund. Now, it's close to come to the end of my speech, and I come to the messages. I think something that we have to realize is that with non-conventional hydrocarbons, you know, there is a complete change of paradigm. There is a lot of oil, there is a lot of gas, and we will have oil and gas for our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. And here in the graph you can see that we have oil and gas for at least 150 years of consumption. And this is an old graph, you know, it has 6 months, it's 6 months old. We have even revised upward the figures. So that's good news for the planet, or for the customers, because if there is a lot of energy, the price should not go too high. But the issue will be how to produce these resources, because we see that it's more and more complex. And today you can forget about the word peak oil. Nobody talks anymore about peak oil. The issue is to supply, you know, the energy needed by the planet, and the energy could be energy from hydrocarbons, but also renewables and nuclear. And this is our challenge. So a lot of oil, a lot of gas, so a pressure on the prices, and at the same time, we see the cost rising very quickly. And this is not acceptable for the governments, for the companies, for the sectors. And it's clear that if we have, I would say, we think that the oil prices will remain around $100 per barrel in the coming in medium term. They won't go much higher because, as I said, there is a lot of resources, they won't go long for lower level because, again, the OPEC countries, they must balance their budgets, and many developments, are viable only with $100 at least. But this is very important. It cannot last, and you will see this year and the coming years strong move by not only the oil companies, but all the sector to try to reduce cost. And how do we reduce costs? We don't reduce costs by reducing the number of people. We reduce costs by trying to find different ways to develop, simpler ways to develop fields. And again, as I said, it is important for everybody. And your government decided to reduce the uplift in the tax system just before the election. Because they considered that there were too many projects and the market was overheated. They will succeed. They will succeed. I'm sure that you have seen that a lot of projects have been stopped because today, with the cost increase and the tax increase, they are no more viable. So what I want to say is that actions must be taken, and it is especially true for the north because you have seen that the Stockman project has been delayed. And Stockman is a huge field, what we call an elephant, or big elephant. So it's clear that first, we believe also in the prospectivity of the Barents southeast. But if you want to find objects which can be developed, they have to be big. We are talking about what we call big cats, over 250 million barrels, or even elephants. So they have to be big, but not only that, they have to be big, but we have to be careful to develop technology to reduce cost. We have to reduce cost anyway, and I'm pretty sure that actions will be needed on the tax regime, and the minister has left, but I think it's important to take that into consideration. Well, this is true not only for Norway, this is true for all the countries. So our perspective in the north. First, we like the north. We have been active in the north, since the beginning. We were the pioneers, and we believe that the high north and the high north areas hold a large hydrocarbon potential. Of course, the environment is harsh, and the ecosystems are very sensitive. And there is no universal techniques or solutions, but there must be an adaptation to local context. There is a need to reinforce research and development expertise and build strong industrial partnerships, and to explore actively the area. This is our intent. And I must say that our current focus and activity level, based on more than 40 years presence in the Arctic region as an operator and a major player, confirm that this is one of Total's main strategic areas for future growth, and we have good hopes for the Kirkenes area and the success of the Southeast Barents Sea exploration. Thank you very much.